Now on KOAM News at 10, the city of Fairland, Oklahoma meets after resignations at their police department leave the town with only 3 officers.
With all the talk of third doses and booster doses, health officials are seeing some confusion among the public. I'm Zach Dodge with a breakdown and why you should wait 8 full months for a booster. Coming up.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Health providers are seeing some confusion surrounding additional vaccine doses. This is KOAM News at 10. As more information comes out about the need for additional COVID vaccine rounds, health officials are hearing from people unsure about when they're eligible. That's especially true concerning when they could need booster doses and the difference between booster doses and third doses. KOAM's Zach Dodge has a breakdown of the terminology to help you sort through it all.
It's been less than a week since the FDA approved third doses for people who are immunocompromised. And so far,
started getting quite a few phone calls of people asking, if they would qualify or, when we were going to have that available.
I've had interest in both.
But when and who's eligible aren't the only questions they've received.
There's been a little bit of confusion about third doses versus booster doses.
Dan Cam explains while the vaccine itself is the same, there are differences in when and why. Third doses are strictly for people who are immunocompromised and can be administered 28 days after their second shot. Booster doses for everyone else won't be offered until September 20th, and officials recommend waiting 8 months to get it.
Just to make sure I completely understand, third doses for immunocompromised people is because would get them up to an appropriate level of immune response. And then
exactly
would be it's kind of, your immune response is kind of waned just to get it back up again.
Yes, that's absolutely correct.
And another question they've heard, what would happen if someone got a booster dose sooner than that?
It's just that it's not the recommended way to do it. The timing is kind of important in that you are starting to wane a little and then, you get the dose to boost things up.
Dr. Anthony Fauci has also said waiting the recommended period will give your body time to adapt to the vaccine. And on top of that, waiting may give providers a chance to plan for the logistics of juggling first, second, third, and booster doses all at once.
Logistics are always going to be a concern, so we're just trying to work through that process. We are have the benefit of having an electronic health record to be able to help us track those doses.
As we did with the first go around, we'll just adjust as we need to make sure that we can meet everyone's needs.
Zach Dodge, KOAM News.
The Mercy Hospital is currently taking third dose appointments, and Crawford County has a third dose walk-in clinic scheduled for this Friday. Missouri Attorney General Eric Schmidt has filed a lawsuit that seeks to stop school districts from enforcing mask mandates and other requirements aimed at slowing the spread of COVID-19. The lawsuit names Columbia Public Schools along with the district's Board of Education and board members, but is a class action lawsuit that would apply to any Missouri district requiring masks. The new school year began yesterday for several districts across the state, and more than 4 dozen districts are requiring students, teachers, and staff to wear face coverings. Now, many 4-state schools started this week, and one way they plan to keep students and staff safe is by using COVID-19 dashboards to track active cases in the districts. KOAM's Bronte Saransky spoke with local school districts on how they're using dashboards to determine what safety measures to take for the upcoming year.
Area schools are already heading back to the classroom, but as COVID-19 still lingers, so does the need to track numbers and ensure safety among students and staff. So, as school districts across the 4 states head into the school year, some, like Carl Junction schools, are continuing COVID precautions from last year, such as COVID-19 dashboards.
Daily, we receive updates from the Jasper County Health Department, also periodically from the Joplin Health Department.
There, these numbers are shared with the district's assistant superintendent and their school nurse, where they compile the data and post it on their website every Wednesday.
We posted onto our district homepage. We've got a spot under district information specifically devoted to our COVID policies and procedures and information.
Other area schools, like Pittsburgh schools, are using similar dashboards and updating them weekly as well. Although Joplin Schools does not have a dashboard on their website, they do send out periodic COVID-19 updates with numbers of those in isolation and quarantine. Carl Junction Schools says the data will be used to decide what measures need to be taken in their buildings.
Yeah, we think it's important to monitor that data on an ongoing basis so that we can make decisions about operations and what we might need to amend as far as our safety procedures over time.
Right now, the school district is seeing low case numbers, with no staff members in isolation or quarantine, 4 students in isolation, and 10 in quarantine. But should cases spike, they have plans in place.
If we had a situation where we saw that we were having a significant increase in numbers, then we would take that into consideration and we would use that information to make decisions.
In Carl Junction, Bronte Sorotsky, KOAM News.
The Carl Junction School District says it's also going to maximize distancing between students and encourage masking. Nick Kelly, this dangerously hot weather is going to stay with us a bit longer.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's what's in the plans for us now before we see at least some changes for the better as we go closer to the weekend. But even though it looks nice outside, we're thankful to see the sun set so we can cool down from our high of 94 degrees this afternoon after quite a mild start at 74 degrees at Joplin Regional this morning. The heat advisories, they are sticking with us again for tomorrow all the way until Thursday evening at 7 o'clock. It says heat and humidity that unfortunately has not resulted in any isolated storms at the very least to give us a little bit of a break from the heat. A few spots at least. All that action is staying up in northern Illinois as we go through the rest of the night. As far as temperatures where we sit right now, we are seeing some more 70s popping up on the board, but it's still warm. Mid 70s to some lower 80s on the board. It still feels like the upper 80s in some spots with the humidity staying high as well. And you can see how temperatures only drop off into the mid 70s again tomorrow morning, Dow, but I see us pushing back to 97. High humidity once again. We'll see how long this is going to hold on here in just a bit.
We'll see you then. The FBI arrested a Miami, Oklahoma man who they say pushed an Associated Press photographer over a wall at the Capitol during the January 6th riot. Benjamin Scott Burlew is charged with assault in special territorial jurisdiction and committing acts of physical violence on restricted grounds. Burlew was arrested Thursday, but the court documents were released only today. Missouri's alcohol-to-go law becomes permanent this weekend. The state first started allowing to-go sales of alcohol from bars and restaurants in April of 2020. Due to a new law that takes effect this Saturday, that policy becomes permanent. Under the law, the drink must be in a sealable container and the customer must make a food purchase along with the alcohol. To-go sales of alcohol were a good source of revenue for a lot of restaurants during lockdowns. The town of Fairland, Oklahoma in Ottawa County is down to 3 police officers now after the chief, assistant chief, and most of the officers resigned last week. The chief's resignation letter says it's due to a hostile work environment, plus slanderous allegations made about him by a board of trustees member. Well, tonight the city hosted a special meeting with the public to discuss the situation. Before the meeting, they interviewed Gordon Williams, a deputy with the Ottawa County Sheriff's Office, to fill the role of chief.
We look at it as it's the chief's department. The board is there for support, and myself as the police commissioner, I'm kind of the liaison between the board and the department. But the way that I view it is that it's the chief's department to run. We're just there for support for him.
Fairland's mayor says he's been in contact with the Ottawa County Sheriff's Department and the Wyandotte Police Department to cover calls until the positions are filled. The leaders of legislative redistricting committees say newly drawn Oklahoma House districts approved by the legislature earlier this year will have to be redrawn. The announcement follows the release of U.S. Census Bureau data that shows population increases in urban and suburban parts of Oklahoma. The Oklahoma legislature approved new House and Senate districts based on U.S. Census Bureau estimates, not the final numbers released earlier this month. Coming up, President Biden says he's sticking with his August 31st Afghanistan withdrawal deadline. Plus, the House votes to advance 2 infrastructure plans. President Biden says he's aiming to stick to an August 31st deadline to evacuate U.S. troops from Afghanistan. The president made the announcement shortly after holding a virtual meeting with G7 allies who are concerned about the deteriorating situation in the region. The Pentagon says evacuations have been picking up speed, but there are still tens of thousands of Americans and Afghan allies to be withdrawn.
The completion by August 31st depends upon the Taliban continuing to cooperate and allow access to the airport for those who we're transporting out and no disruptions to our operations.
Some Republican lawmakers who received a classified briefing on the matter today say the Taliban should not be dictating the timetable. The U.S. House of Representatives today approved a measure to advance both the bipartisan physical infrastructure bill and a larger budget reconciliation package that focuses on the president's human infrastructure priorities. Natalie Brand reports from Capitol Hill.
President Biden's 2-track infrastructure agenda is one step closer to moving forward.
The resolution is adopted
After key procedural votes in the House.
Today, the House of Representatives taken a significant step toward making a historic investment that's going to transform America.
House Democrats reached an agreement Tuesday morning on next steps following a late-night standoff of negotiations in the Speaker's office.
Today is a great day of pride for our country and for Democrats.
The deal guarantees a vote on the Senate-passed bipartisan physical infrastructure bill no later than September 27th, after party moderates threatened to withhold support for the larger budget reconciliation framework that addresses child care, health care, and education.
It is an embarrassing day to America. It's an embarrassing day for this floor, and it's embarrassing that you would even move forward with it.
For weeks, Democratic leaders have sought to link both measures, though the larger spending bill must still be negotiated with the target date for a final text by mid-September. The future of the budget reconciliation bill is still in flux. A spokesperson for Arizona Democratic Senator Kyrsten Sinema told Politico she will not support its $3.5 trillion price tag, and Democrats cannot afford to lose a single vote in the evenly divided Senate. Natalie Brandt, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
After the infrastructure vote, the House Progressive Caucus released a statement saying they will not support the bipartisan physical infrastructure bill until the budget reconciliation measure is passed. The House also passed a new version of the voting rights bill, named for the late Congressman and civil rights leader John Lewis. Later, Pittsburgh community schools are deemed to have the best performing arts programs in the state.
But first, a few more days of pure summer heat and humidity, then some changes for the better by this weekend. Forecast up next. I keep looking over at the time lapse on my main weather computer over here because it was just yet another one of those days where it looks certainly can be deceiving. It's a beautiful time lapse, no doubt about it, from indigo sky outside of Seneca, Missouri. You'd think beautiful, mostly sunny skies from sunrise all the way to sunset. Would have been a good day to be out and about. Fortunately, our hot and humid streak continued ever since we got the weekend wrapped up. Certainly continued for today. After seeing highs in the mid-90s yesterday, we dropped to 74 this morning. The hottest Joplin Regionals topped out at was at 94 degrees. A little cooler than I was expecting because we had a south breeze gusting at times. Still didn't change the fact that it was hot enough and certainly humid enough. Unfortunately, none of it could result in any isolated showers or storms to give at least a few spots to break in the heat today. With no breaks in the heat for the next 2 days, this is why these heat advisories will remain in place until Thursday evening. But changes are on the way as early as this weekend that will start to give us at least more tolerable temperatures and eventually maybe a little lower humidity as well. In the meantime, though, we're quiet in Joplin. Mostly clear skies up top, but it's 82 degrees. Feels like 86 with the dew point sitting at a muggy, very muggy 71 degrees. A couple mid to upper 70s on the board already as we work closer to Stockton Lake, but everybody else is mainly in the lower to middle 80s. Still feels like near 90 in a couple of spots though, with the dew point still up there, but thankfully we've been trending downward, good direction after our hot afternoon. So underneath mostly clear skies here and across much of the region, we'll have overnight lows dropping off into the mid 70s tonight. Unfortunately, any good rain chances are staying well to the north of the region while we watch for that frontal system to the north to eventually start heading our way. Until it happens though, It's all about this upper level ridge. The center of it still parked over the Texas-Oklahoma border. That will keep us dry for the next few days with at least nice looking weather, but it also is what will keep us hot and humid once again. At the very least, we'll get a little break from the heat tonight as overnight lows underneath mostly clear skies and a light south breeze at 5 to 10 will allow us to drop back to 74 degrees. But it's going to be another quick warm-up as we go throughout the day. And this time around, I see the breeze staying mainly light out of the south at 5 to 10 miles per hour. That will be enough, I think, to send us back to 92 by noon and pushing afternoon highs, at least in Joplin, up to 97 degrees. Outside of the city, though, everyone's fair game to go between 96 and potentially 99 degrees. Could be the hottest day of the summer so far if these numbers play out. And if they do play out for sure with the high humidity, it will certainly feel like 102 to 110 during the day tomorrow. So any outdoor plans, I say go for it during the morning hours or late in the evening when these numbers aren't too terribly high. Unfortunately, these numbers will repeat themselves again for Thursday as we stay underneath the ridge, but then it starts to weaken as we head toward the weekend. That could allow for a few isolated storms Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, mainly during the afternoon. But here's Monday. The jet marches back right on top of the region, and at the surface, the cold front starts to work in as well. We'll use that setup to cash in on better rain chances by Monday and Tuesday, and hopefully, fingers crossed out, we can get highs back to 89 degrees by then. Until that point, though, 97 tomorrow, 96 Thursday. The alert day's in place because it will definitely be humid as well.
Yeah, the prospect of highs in the 90s sound pretty good right now.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Nick. Pittsburgh Community Schools are being recognized for their performing arts programs. The Kansas State High School Activities Association selected Pittsburgh for the Performing Arts School of Excellence Award. An award goes to the school with the best performances across all performing arts activities, including debate, music, and theater.
And I found a lot more inspiration in my own seniors. I would give the credit to them because of them, I enjoyed what I did, and I'm trying to emulate and give it to the underclassmen.
Pittsburgh was chosen as the winner out of 356 eligible schools in the state. Coming up in sports, we're going to hear from Chiefs offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy on former NEO running back Darwin Thompson. And the Southeast Lancers head into the fall with experience and good numbers in the program. Jacob Leonard has that and more next.
The Southeast Lancers are in the middle of their second week of fall football practice. Now, the Lancers are just 10 days away from their season opener. Last year, Southeast took a bit of a step back, going 3-4 overall after going 7-3 in 2019. However, they did make the playoffs for the third consecutive season. Coach Cheney lists 9 starters back on each side of the ball, so they do have some experience. In addition to that, numbers for the program are pretty good right now.
Besides leadership, we've got 34 kids out, and for a 2A school, we're pretty happy with that, and they're working hard. They went to the weight program this summer, and they're practicing and giving effort.
Now, the Lancers kick off the season next Friday at home against Uniontown. You can check out more on Southeast and our Pigskin preview at KOAMnewsnow.com/pigskin. Well, former NEO running back Darwin Thompson is trying to make the roster for the Kansas City Chiefs for the third consecutive year. Thompson was the Chiefs' 6th-round pick back in 2019. On Friday, he rushed for 49 yards on 8 carries against the Cardinals in the team's second preseason game. Offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy talked today about what he sees from the former Norseman.
Darwin's been playing his tail off. We expected Darwin to be exactly where he is. He's a tough, competitive football player that doesn't take anything for granted. He understands what it means to play on special teams, and he understands that if he is going to be on this team, that's a very important role. But he also understands the importance of when he has an opportunity to make the very most of it. You know, it's time for him to go out there and produce. Darwin is a hell of a competitor. He plays hard, he plays fast, and he loves what he does. He loves the game.
Well, the Kansas City Royals are on a roll right now. The Royals beat Houston in their series opener last night, and they've won 7 of their last 8. Now, tonight is game 2 against the Astros. Right now, though, the Royals haven't scored. They're down 4-0 in the bottom of the 8th. Kansas City has managed just 4 hits on the night. The St. Louis Cardinals host the Tigers tonight in game 1 of their series. How about a little early defense? Harrison Bader, nice diving grab for the Cards. Game still scoreless. Check it out again. Nice extension there. Top of the third now. 2-0 Tigers. Robbie Grossman adds to it with a solo homer. Gets the lead to 3-0 for Detroit. Now Miguel Cabrera, very next batter, makes it back-to-back jacks. This one, actually Cabrera's 501st career homer. Cards make it a game late, but the Tigers win in the end 4-3. That's a look at sports. We're back with more news after this.
Take time now to honor a local veteran. Glenn Rush served in the U.S. Army from 1943 to 1947. The Jasper, Missouri native was stationed in Germany and received 2 Purple Hearts. We salute Staff Sergeant Glenn Rush, a 4-state hero. Now, scientists and engineers at the University of Central Florida lab are creating experimental extraterrestrial soil simulants. In other words, they make fake space dirt. Earth-based elements are combined with research-based formulas to create soil that mimics that of the Moon, Mars, and even asteroids. Customers include NASA, commercial space companies, and STEM schools. They use the simulants to test equipment and research methods such as growing food on other planets. A lot to be learned, but you first have to plant a seed, so to speak.
Very true.
And maybe someday, we'll be growing crops, extraterrestrial.
You never know.
Yeah. It's going to be hot, hot, hot.
Yeah, unfortunately that we do know. Highs back to 97 tomorrow, and the alert days stay in place because the high humidity will make it feel like we're well into the triple digits tomorrow.
Final sports night.
Cool news today for the St. Louis Cardinals. They agreed to a 1-year contract extension with catcher Yadier Molina. 1 year, $10 million. One of my favorite players. He'll be back for his 19th Major League season.
How old is Yadier?
I actually don't. I don't know exactly.
But no, we're happy to have him still.
19 years, a heck of a career.
Yes, it is. Thanks for joining us. Don't forget our morning show, and let's make it a great tomorrow.